Hi, I'm Katie Toma, President and CEO of the Chico Chamber, and I'm here today with Tovey Giezentanner, who is the President and CEO of Salus. I had to look down at my notes because I had to spell it out phonetically, Tovey. So he is here because this is a new company to Chico, though Tovey is not new to Chico. He's a Chico kid, grew up here. He's an entrepreneur. He's done all kinds of work. He continues to do all kinds of work, but you might not know him because the majority of his work takes him out of town. So Tovey, thanks for being with us today. And so I want to ask you, first of all, about the name of your company, how you arrived at that, and what your latest venture is.
Well, Salus is the Roman goddess for health and protection, health and welfare protection. So it seemed like an appropriate name. I guess when I first started thinking about this, I was thinking about different brands, and the Nike brand came to mind right off the bat. And so I thought, well, I wonder who is in charge of health for the Roman god pantheon. And that name came up. So that's where I got the name.
Oh, that's great. So tell us, so just give us a brief kind of background about who you are and how it is that you came to even start this company.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Chico. After high school, I played sports, and after high school, I went into the Army for a couple of years, and then I came out and ended up in Sacramento working went to Chico State, and then I went to Sacramento and ended up in politics down there. Worked for Pete Wilson for about 5.5 years. So I was involved in statewide politics, and then that turned into working during the Schwarzenegger experience in 2003, 2004. And then I ended up running a big ranch in Yolo County called the Conway Ranch for about 6 years. And then we sold that. And I ended up developing apartments in San Francisco and also some apartments for myself in Chico. And then more recently, I'd say within the last 2 years or so, I started doing some public affairs work back down in Sacramento. So that's kind of a little bit of background on me. This company was more the result of, I'm kind of an entrepreneur at heart, and I enjoy solving problems. But I, along with everyone else, when this thing kind of hit and you're faced with this kind of existential crisis, for me, I have like anxiety. And so I was like, well, what do I do? And, initially it was all about, making sure that healthcare workers and folks had, private, had protective equipment. And so I started, thinking about that, but in the process of kind of going through some due diligence around that, that's where the company kind of came from, is something to help me keep my hands busy in the context of all this craziness that's happening, this new normal. And then also, how can I do my little part to help? Where's there a win-win where I can do a little bit to help, but then there's obviously a little bit of an opportunity as well. So that's kind of
So tell us what Salus is doing and what that company does.
Well, Salus manufactures and distributes non-medical source control face masks. So that's in a nutshell what we do. We manufacture. There's 90+% of the manufacturing of face masks that happens overseas in the Far East, Taiwan, South Korea, China. One of the big problems with our challenges for this response from an equipment perspective has been that we don't have a local supply chain. So part of this idea comes from, being a regional supply chain person or company kind of as we move forward.
Well, we had a conversation last week, and I didn't, not being a medical person, being a financial person primarily, didn't understand about masks. And as you know, we gave away cotton face masks courtesy of Slater and Son that were mostly manufactured at Fifth Sun locally. But this is a different type of mask that you are distributing. So you want to kind of give us a rundown, because I know that there's a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation about masks and who needs what for what reason. So you want to explain that?
Sure. Okay. So there's kind of two buckets of masks. One bucket protects a wearer, right? So whoever's wearing the mask, it's supposed to protect that person. The other type of mask protects essentially other people from the wearer of the mask. So that's the basic breakdown. There's two different types of masks. The kind of mask that protects the wearer is generally used in a hospital type of a setting. So it's a surgical mask, it's a respirator. Those are those types of masks are used. And again, it's designed to protect the wearer. Source control masks, which is what I'm making through Salus, they're non-medical source control masks, and they're like cloth masks, in that they are designed to stop or slow down the spread of stuff that's coming out of your mouth in an environment where you can't socially distance.
Right.
So that's the basic breakdown of masks, is one type protects the wearer and one type essentially protects others from the wearer.
So with your mask, are they a one-time use or a single-use mask, or can you wear them more than once?
Well, I think this is, again, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, the masks were only basically worn in a hospital setting.
Yeah.
You just didn't have mass adoption by the general public or businesses wearing masks. And so all of the language, all of the marketing, all of the regulatory framework for masks is kind of speaking to a hospital audience. And at the time, you have respirators, and surgical masks, and those are disposable one-time use. And then you have these other masks that aren't for that, but they were for like procedural type stuff. Like if you were a nurse that didn't go into a surgical room, for instance, you'd wear this other type mask because they're cheaper to make.
Mm-hmm.
And that saves the better masks for the doctors. Anyway, long story short is, in that environment, they're single-use disposable, right?
Okay.
I think now, I think the language is probably going to start to change. I think the better frame for the issue is reusable versus disposable.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's single use. Although, if it were used in a hospital setting or a healthcare setting, it probably still would be single use. But I think the better frame now is reusable versus disposable.
So in the distribution of your masks, are you primarily going with healthcare providers? Which I'm thinking, but are you offering any sort of mask for consumers, for individual consumers? Is there any way for them to access them?
The masks that Salus makes are non-medical source control masks. So they're made for the general public.
Okay.
And they're made for businesses, organizations, where the expectation is that you're not in a setting where there's like an expectation that there's going to be a high kind of for virus issue. Sure. So I'm selling to the public versus selling into hospital settings.
Okay. So you have a website, I'm assuming.
Yes. And
what's the website?
It's www.salus, which is spelled SALUS, supply.com.
Okay.
So salussupply.com.
Well, we'll be sure to include that when we distribute the video. So, and the other thing that I really appreciate, we did the mask giveaway, and the criteria for that mask giveaway that we did last week was for businesses. But you have made a very generous offer to us of 500 masks that we can give to individuals, because it's really hard with some people that, haven't been out much, that are looking for masks, and we weren't able to take care of them. So this will be a great gift that we'll be able to give these folks out to folks that are in need of them, that maybe necessarily don't want to go out and buy 20, or I don't know what your minimum is. I'm assuming it's like 20 or 50 or something.
Yeah, well, I sell boxes of 50. It's really for a wholesale buyer. That's kind of what I'm looking at, is more of a wholesale buyer. Now, I mean, I'll sell to businesses, of course, and I'm offering free delivery for within 30 miles of here, just because I'm based out of here. So I sell in boxes of 50, or cases of 2,000.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, thanks for explaining on the masks and coming in. It's so nice to see a Chico kid doing well and an entrepreneur. I'm always amazed at people's thinking, and as they're sitting at home wringing their hands saying, this is terrible, what can I do? And thinking, there's a mass shortage. What can I do to help? So Tovey, on behalf of Chico, Butte County, and the surrounding area, or whoever you're going to distribute to, thank you for sourcing these masks for businesses and whoever's going to be using them in offices where social distancing is impossible. So thanks for coming today, and we'll talk soon, and we'll have this video up, and we'll have your website on there, and we'll get those masks out to the folks that need them.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much, Katie. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.